Evil Dead Burn is a 2026 American horror film directed by Sebastien Vanicek and stars Souheila Yacoub, Hunter Doohan, Erroll and Tandi Wright. It looks to be a sequel to Evil Dead Rise, with Lee Cronin showing up as one of the producers, and for another reason that I can't really say at the moment. No spoilers, of course. The plot follows a family dealing with an unexpected death soon after one of the sons studies some of the family's history involving the Necronomicon, and the Deadites are alerted once it is revealed that the family has something that they want, not just souls this time. The Evil Dead franchise is one of my favorite horror franchises, and it just means a whole hell of a lot to me. I actually ranked all of the movies so far, Burn included, so yeah, maybe check that out if you want. And I won't spoil it by saying where I place Burn, so you'll have to watch to find out, I guess. So yeah, I enjoyed the opening scene to Evil Dead Burn a little bit more than the opening of Evil Dead Rise. And I guess I will be kind of comparing the two, since, Burn is actually, like I said, a sequel to Rise, and, Rise was the last film. It's a direct sequel, actually, which has not really been done, I don't think, since Army of Darkness. However, I do have some complaints with this opening scene. First of all, I get that these directors, felt the need to put a little bit of their own spin on certain things. I totally get that. But almost every time it happens, I find myself, at least as a fan, feeling that it was kind of unnecessary. And I say this because in this film, we never actually see the Necronomicon. And it's I believe it's the first Evil Dead movie to do that. We see Joseph, one of the main characters and members of the family that this story is about, studying parts of the Necronomicon via like photocopies and scans and stuff, yeah, pretty much out of curiosity, as he tries to uncover the mysterious things that his late grandfather had been into and discovered years ago. This setup works, it makes sense, but it happens way too fast, and it just seemed kind of rushed, and I honestly didn't fully understand like what exactly was going on while I was watching it in the theater. Want to know how to do it right? Just watch the 2013 Fede Alvarez, reboot. That's how you start an Evil Dead movie. And this time around, the Deadites are summoned not by reading the Necronomicon, but by unsheathing the Kandarian dagger from the first two Evil Dead films. To be honest, I'd kind of forgotten about that. But yeah, it's back, and that's kind of cool, I guess. So story-wise, that works for me, but not so much in its execution. Plus, I need the Necronomicon, man. It's like an old friend to me at this point, and I missed it. So the Deadites, they just want the dagger. That's pretty much it. This aspect was kind of bland to me. Then we get to, the first Deadite kill scenes just at like a few minutes in, like with the previous film. And the first Deadite is apparently Jessica, from the bookend scenes, or the wraparound scenes in Evil Dead Rise, that I didn't care for. And I was confused as to who she even was. Like, am I supposed to know? Am I supposed to know who she is? I mean, I guess I just didn't assume that it would be that girl from Evil Dead Rise that is only in the wraparound scenes and is ultimately pretty forgettable. So yeah, I guess we were supposed to remember her, and maybe I would have, had I known this was a sequel to Evil Dead Rise, but that part's on me. So Jessica kills a few random people, and I knew pretty much right away that this was going to be even more brutal than Rise, and it is. The first act does not waste any time, which I did kind of appreciate, although it moved a little bit too quick at the beginning. You meet Joseph's brother Will and his wife Alice, who own and run a restaurant together, and it's almost hard to tell who they are because the character story stuff just moves so fucking quick. And I probably wouldn't have minded that, had the characters been more interesting, of course. I'd say they're even more mild than the characters from Evil Dead Rise, which I criticized in pretty much most aspects, but also the characters. That said, they do have a story arc, and as undercooked as it is, it's something new. And, part of that arc is Alice's relationship with Will was a very toxic, abusive relationship, unbeknownst to Will's parents. So, when he's killed in this movie, it makes for an awkward funeral when Alice struggles to, show any emotion. She's not crying or anything. So we do have, like, domestic abuse as a bit of an underlying theme here, along with fire, of course. Which probably would work better had Alice been a remotely interesting character. I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel for her, but, I mean, that's really it. I remember being hard on Mia from the 2013 Evil Dead, but she rises to the occasion a little bit better, plus she was a Deadite at one point, and the Ash character, or so to speak. And Alice is that too, albeit the worst one of the entire series. I was also a bit hard on the family from Evil Dead Rise, who were a bit better, especially as Deadites, but at least this movie didn't have any kids. So we can talk about the Deadites now, and they were fine. Not my favorite, about as good as in Rise, I suppose, although none of them, had as much personality or classic Evil Dead vibes as Ellie did from Rise. And the practical effects here are pretty fantastic, minus the CGI Deadite fire stuff in the third act. In fact, all the fire stuff just didn't interest me at all. I get that that's kind of the theme here, but it's just whatever. I get that the movie is called Burn. I know. Oddly enough, the best and most interesting Deadite by far, in my opinion, was Jessica. She actually did remind me of, a classic Deadite, but she goes away pretty quick. She's not in this a lot. There was interesting Deadite stuff in the mid and post credits scene though. Just brutal shit. But again, I can't spoil that. But yeah, if you see this in the theater, there are 2 extra scenes. So stay throughout the credits. Which brings to me my final topic. What I liked most about the movie, and what I think pretty much saved it, the violence, man. Sweet gore and violence, which there was a lot of here, and it's done really well. Where I felt that Rise was a bit on the soft side. This is like a return to the brutal side of Evil Dead. Kind of like from the 2013 reboot, although Burn has a distinct new French extreme flavor. And I appreciated that, probably more than anything else here. I've never seen any of Sebastien Vanicek's stuff, but he is French, and as a French horror director, it would make sense to me that he would take influence from that scene. Vanicek can also direct some really good action scenes, like the house scene from one of the earlier teaser trailers. Totally fucking delivered, man. That was that was definitely the best part of the movie, I would say. Just such a fun, chaotic scene that totally makes you feel like you need to be wearing a seatbelt. Totally killer. So I'm giving Evil Dead Burn a 6.5 out of 10. I can't remember what score I gave Evil Dead Rise. Might have been a 6.5 or 7. I'm not consistent with my scores, but I had issues with that movie, and I have a similar amount of issues here, just kind of different ones. One thing that I have realized at this point is that for me, there are just certain things that I need in an Evil Dead movie, because I need them to feel like Evil Dead movies, I guess. And this one is just a bit too uneven for me in that area. Also, the real hero of this movie is Max, the family dog played by Dax the dog. Dude was killed not once, but fucking twice. Fuck you for that, Mr. Vanicek. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.